There has been still some difficulty in filling the form, some technical issues cropping up in one or the other form. So, any which ways, in today's session, we'll try to discuss firstly on the existing regime with respect to these forms, and subsequently we will also see, try to open one form and see what all entries are being sought in that respective form. And then we'll also try to address whatever queries you have or what kind of issues you have faced while filling the forms in your respective cases. We'll try to look at that as well. So just give me a moment. I hope you can see my screen. So first and foremost, we need to look at this principal circular of IBBI dated 28th June 2024. So this is the circular based on which we are doing all our forms filings. Just a brief background, even before before this has been made electronic on the IBBI portal, we were usually dropping emails to IBBI on quarterly basis. IBBI used to send us reminders to send the progress reports. So for us, the responsibility was very simple. Just one email to IBBI and we are done with our compliance for the quarter. But from the regulator point of view, I can sense that it is not that easier for them to open all these uh, progress reports, which might run into hundreds of pages, then compile the information and then make some sense out of it. I think that I always used to wonder what good does it make by simply dropping an email. But I think with this forms, things are made very clear that earlier the focus was more on CARP. The IBBA was focused on what kind of recoveries are happening in CARP, what's the status in CARP. I think now this focus is slowly shifting and not shifting rather, even the focus is also now being addressed towards the liquidation processes. So these forms, as we navigate through these forms subsequent in our session, we understand that they are trying to gather information as to how much you are able to recover during a particular quarter and then what kind of payments you have made during that relevant quarter, and also on details on the meetings, how many SCC meetings have been conducted, what level of decisions have been made, etc. So as regards the process, these forms will collate and provide, I think from the IBBS point of view, their dashboard should be extremely clear on a broader level as to what level of recoveries are happening in liquidation across across all the cases in India, right? With all these forms coming on board, what happens is IBBA will get a complete sense of how this liquidation process are being dealt, what level of monies are involved in this liquidation process, and many such, any other information which helps them in understanding the liquidation process better. That is something which IBBA can definitely achieve through these forms. But anyways, let us shift our focus to IPs, which are us. We need to understand for us what level of compliances we need to make, right? So for that, first I'll just take you through the forms in terms of the timelines. Then subsequently, let us open the forms and try to see what are all the information which is being sought. So first, it is a liquidation one. So they name it LAQ one. The timeline, the period which is covered within this form is the moment you get an order of NCLT commencing the liquidation process, which is nothing but ordering for liquidation, till you make a public announcement, right? So this is the timeline for the purpose of covering, and the providing the details in liquidation one. So liquidation one is a very preliminary form. It contains the basic details of the company, of the liquidator, right, and also the public announcement, what is the fee, and it also questions as to whether during the CIRP did the COC fix the fee of the liquidator, did the COC approve for sale as going concern. Then it also questions about the valuation. Have you conducted valuation before, or are you going to conduct valuation afresh now? So all these relevant issues are going to crop. So,
registration number.
sorry, sorry, did someone say anything? Okay. So, yeah, apart from this, it also would, as I was explaining, it also will ask for details of the valuation. Now here it's a tricky thing. Anyways, while filling the form. Sorry. Sorry, I had to mute someone because they're speaking in between. Yeah. Okay. So as I was explaining, when the form also describes about valuation, there can be certain challenges there that as insolvency professionals we face practically, which is not being addressed in the form. Now, at times there might be a situation where we appointed a valuer, but even before the completion of valuation, the COC decided to go for liquidation of the company. Now, the valuation is still ongoing, right? So now it'll be a question whether this valuation will be valuation under CIRP or valuation under liquidation. So we need to also practically try to address these kind of situations to ensure that, sorry, to ensure that there is nothing wrong reflected in the liquidation one form, right? And again, when we go through the forms, I'll explain. I always have a process which I follow, that whenever we deviate from something, whenever we, because of certain practical issue, and we fill certain information, I always make sure that I'm attaching a note explaining why I had to do that. Right. So what that helps me with is that helps me in conveying my intention clearly to the IBBI. So anyways, we'll get to that shortly. So for this liquidation one form, which is a preliminary form to contain the details from the liquidation till the public announcement, only the initial days which we take for making the public announcement, that we'll have to file it with IBBI on or before 10th day of the subsequent month after a public announcement has been made. Now, see, unlike CARP forms, they did not intend to keep so much of rush. See, in CARP, we have too much rush. Within 7 days, you need to fill a form. Like 7 days might sound high, but it just vanishes before we realize it is the seventh day. So, yeah, but in liquidation, they have given ample time to complete the form filing, which is on or before the 10th day of the subsequent month. So, for instance, today, let's say yesterday, 13th of December, Friday, we have an order of liquidation, let us assume. Then let's say we have done the public announcement on Monday, right? So since we have done the public announcement on Monday, this all happened in December. The due date for filing form LIQ1 will be 10th of January 2025. So the timeline wise, at least there's a good relief for the liquidator to plan their filings appropriately. Now let's move forward to the next form, LIQ2. So in liquidation 2 form, it the period, this is a recurring form, by the way, and the period is from the public announcement till the progress report. So by progress report, it is always the end of the quarter, right? So it is like a period between the progress public announcement once you have made till the next quarter. And once that is done for the next liquidation 2 form, it is for quarter to quarter. So every quarter we will have to file this liquidation 2 form till the time you file your final progress report with the NCLT. So this again, the timeline is the same. It is on or before the 10th day of the subsequent month after the submission of progress report to the NCLT. So for example, this quarter ended December 30. We all will prepare our progress reports and we will have to submit within 15 days of the end of the quarter to NCLT. So which means before January 15th, we'll have to submit all of our progress report with the NCLT, right? Now, submitting progress report with the NCLT is one thing. After submission of progress report with the NCLT, um, uh, within 10, sorry, the subsequent month, that is in January 15th, let us say we have submitted a progress report with the NCLT, then 10th of the subsequent month, which is February 10th. So for a quarter ended December 10, we need to file liquidation 2 on or before 10th of February 2025. So this is how the timeline for liquidation 2 also has been. Now here also we have extremely long timelines, because typically when we fill the progress report, all that information which is required in liquidation 2 also gets filled. And it can be made a practice that we can also try to format our progress reports in line with liquidation 2, so that you need not fill similar information in different styles. It will be easier and it will be more mechanical than investing so much time in filling this form. It will be easier for our team to simply adopt the information given in the progress report. Anyways, so the timeline is again very clear. It's this. And what is the content of this form? This is a kind of tricky, not tricky, but it is very exhaustive. It contains, of course, the details of all the valuations, sale of the assets, whether you have realized any assets, what was the assets you have distributed, litigations. Again, in litigations, it goes in detail as to what the parties, what is the nature of litigation, etc. Then what happened, what's happening with your avoidance transactions that comes into picture, details of your SEC meetings, like what all SEC meetings have been conducted and all that will come there. And of course, the major part which where we face a lot of difficulty is this receipts and payments. Now, the reason being, there is a table which they have included in liquidation 2 form, and this table gets linked to the previous liquidation 2 form because there is a quarter ended figure and a cumulative figure, both of which are being sought. Now, for a quarter ended figure, we need to fill the information pertaining to that relevant quarter. While the cumulative figure is a formula driven block. What it does, it basically sums up the information which you have reported in the previous quarter and which you're reporting in the current quarter gets summed up and reflected in your cumulative block. Now, why is it that this has been issue in terms of yeah, sorry. Why is it that this has been a issue in terms of this receipts, and I mean the issue in terms of our filing is that it's because it's the first time we are filing these forms. Typically, when we look at liquidation 2 form, for the first quarter when we file, there is no previous quarter, right? So therefore, it was advised to us that when we are filing it for the first time for March quarter, because if you see, if you see this is how the directions have been given. For all ongoing cases where there is no dissolution application filed, we are supposed to file these liquidation forms LAQ2 only for the March 2024 quarter, right? And then there, of course, obviously, after March 2024 quarter, we need to file for June and, also for the other quarter, September and December, etc. That is fine. But first and foremost, we are only filing for March quarter. So then they advised, the IBB advised us that, okay, boss, you fill in both cumulative column as well as this column, which is for the current quarter column, has the same figure. So only for the first quarter of March, they've given us that option to insert figures in the cumulative. Now, once we do that, from the subsequent quarter, the cumulative figures automatically gets added up in the backend software. So this way, wherever there's a problem, you need to write to the IBBA, and IBBA has endeavored to come up with solution and resolved it most of the times, right? Of course, there are subsequent challenges, but yeah. So this receipts and payments becomes critical information. So as liquidators now, of course, we would have provided it in our progress reports, but now it becomes much more important to keep our books intact in terms of receipts and payments, to keep the records straight, because rewriting this every quarter may not be appropriate. So therefore, we need to ensure that we are closing our books every quarter. Even though there is nil receipts and repayments, that's fine. But at least we need to, I mean, my advice is we need to maintain certain receipts and payments register, even electronic would do, and close it every quarter and quarter. Try to look at it, audit it, and see that, audit in a sense internally, and see to it that whatever figures we are reporting it with the IBBA remain intact, right? So that's one exercise we need to do in liquidation 2. And as I told, liquidation 2 form, LAQ2, is a recurring form, right? So it has to be filed every quarter till the time you file your last progress report. So once you are done with the sale of your assets and you are filing your last progress report to the NCLT, that is when this requirement of liquidation 2 will come to an end. After that, after you file for application for dissolution, then you need to file liquidation 3. Again, the timeline is similar, on or before 10th day of the subsequent month after submission of dissolution or closure application to the NCLT. Now, this dissolution application we file when we are done with the sale of assets and for complete winding up of the company. Closure application is when we are doing a sale as a going concern, because we cannot dissolve the company. So we do a closure application, right? So that is with respect to liquidation 3. So the timeline which is captured in liquidation 3 is between the last progress report, because till the last progress report, you already filed your liquidation 2. So from the last progress report to the application for dissolution, you need to file the rest of the information. Now, this last two application for dissolution, what all information might be there? There can be some unclaimed proceeds, because if you're going for dissolution, it means you would have distributed all the monies and some money would have been left. So whether you have gone and closed that other some money, that unclaimed proceeds as it been closed, then what all the entire details of the sale of your assets, what was the consideration you have realized, everything. Litigations, again, the same will continue, litigations, PUF, etc. Because litigations are an ongoing thing. Realization, distribution of proceeds, as I informed. Receipts and payments, again, this usually will, this is basically carried forward from the last progress report, is what it is clearly laid on there. So what all receipts and payments has been reflected in the last progress report, that gets reflected automatically in the application for dissolution. And in this application for dissolution, the final report which you tend to file with the NCLT, that also becomes one of the attachments, which we will see when we are opening the form. Next, liquidation 4. So this is a time period. So this again, what is this time period? Is after the order of dissolution has come, right? So from the application for dissolution till the order to dissolve has come from the NCLT, we need to file this liquidation 4 form. So liquidation 3 is also one time. So liquidation 1, 3 and 4 are one-time forms. Liquidation 2 is a recurring form. Now in liquidation 4, from the application stage till the dissolution stage, that is, till the order for dissolution has come from the NCLT, we need to file this. And the timeline here is a slight difference. It is within 14 days from the date of order passed by the NCLT for dissolution or closure of the liquidation process. So on or before 14 days is the timeline. So within 2 weeks, we need to complete this liquidation 4. Even then, I feel, in my opinion, it is a, uh, it's a sufficient timeline. Nothing to worry in terms of the timeline, right? Next is with respect to the content. Now let's see what is the content in terms of this liquidation form. Yeah. Now, as far as this liquidation form is concerned, from this basically again provides the details of what are the proceeds you have made, receipts, payments, etc., which again are carried forward. So there would not be much of additional information which will come in liquidation form. It will be a simple form wherein you will also have to add the details of the NCLT order, attach it, and close it. So thereby, if you see, the entire liquidation from the commencement till the order of dissolution are being captured in 4 forms. Correct? So this is with respect to the forms which have been provided by the IBBI. Then another relevant issue, this I think in the previous session when I take, this has been some kind of a concern, which let us try to discuss for some time. See, firstly, what is the applicability of this circular, right? So the applicability is firstly for the ongoing cases. Next, for all the cases where application for dissolution has been passed, has been already filed, or for cases where order for closure or dissolution has already been ordered. So, if it's a case ongoing, okay, the liquidator who is handling that case will have a responsibility to do this. Second, where you already filed the application for dissolution or closure with the NCLT, then also this will become applicable. Now, third and complete, this is the most extreme situation is, let's say in 2017 only you got the liquidation order, I mean, dissolution order, or 2018 you got the dissolution order. So already dissolution order has been passed. Even for such cases, this forms will become applicable. So I repeat, for all ongoing cases, of course, no questions asked. For cases where you already filed the dissolution application, even there you are filing these forms. And finally, for cases where you already have received the order of dissolution from the NCLT, even in such cases, irrespective of when you got the order, you would have got your dissolution order in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, doesn't matter. You still have to file these forms with the IBBI. Now, they have given one clarification in their recent circular when they extended the timeline till 31st December 2024, wherein they clarified that wherever there are ongoing liquidation cases, the responsibility to file these forms will be with the insolvency professional who is handling that case. Okay, which is fine because currently we are handling it, we are filing it. But in cases where you already filed an application for closure or dissolution, or you already received a resolution or closure order, then in the insolvency professional in whose tenure the said application was filed, or in whose tenure the order was passed, they will be responsible for filing these forms. The reason why they had to clarify this is there were cases where liquidators were changing, right? So there was one liquidator for a particular period, but subsequently he changed and another liquidator has come into picture. Now, the question is, should both the liquidators file all these forms? Because the earlier liquidation was there for 3 quarters. From the fourth quarter, another liquidator has come. Now, does it mean both of them have to file this? So this has been clarified now that no, both need not be filed. In that particular process, who is the one who is handling it at the relevant point in time? So suppose you already filed your application, then were you the liquidator at that point in time? Then you will have to file. Or have you already been replaced at that by then you need not file. So this clarity, I think, has given a good amount of relief to various liquidators, particularly those who were not part of the process for quite some time, right? However, if you still see, it is quite a challenging task. If suppose, let's say you filed your application in 2021 or you got an order in 2020, right? So you definitely would have all the records, but 4 years is quite some time for you to recollect exactly what happened during that case, right? So it's like revisiting your case, revisiting to all the numbers and then making the forms, right? So that is a tedious task. And I think the timeline from June to December has like almost they have given 6 months of timeline for completing these forms. So I believe it is quite a good amount of time. But one thing I understand, of course, from us is recollecting all of this without any, actual written, is something extremely tedious. I understand, but nevertheless, this is a requirement, and we need to fulfill it before 31st December. I doubt if there would be any further extension. So we need to complete our filings before 31st December. Right. So these are all the forms. Now let me just take you through the forms, right? So just give me a moment. I will share my screen and open the relevant forms so that we all can discuss. I will show you what all information is being sought in the relevant forms, and then we can have a detailed discussion on the same. Just a second. Just a second. I'm just opening the screen. because it will involve information with respect to my matters. I would like to kind of, maybe I may not be able to show you the complete attachments, etc. But yeah, to the extent possible, I'll try to show you the fields and stuff so that it will be easier. Okay, let me share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So after we log in, so we have a dashboard like this, right? So after the dashboard, I mean, I'm sure all of you would have seen already, but just for the interest of those who would have not yet started doing this. So you need to select this liquidation form. And then if it's a new liquidation assignment, as I was explaining, let's say yesterday the order got passed, then you need to insert all the details with respect to your matter, particularly the name and all this stuff, the PAN of the company, blah, blah, whatever basic information is there, you need to fill it along with all the details which they ask and submit it. Then IBBA usually within 24 to 48 hours will approve your assignment or maybe reject it with remarks explaining why it has been rejected. So accordingly, you need to make the amends, and then finally, once it approves, you'll get a block like this, right? So you will have a block like this where all your liquidation 1, 2, 3, 4 forms will become live. So this is what is the first step in you filling the forms. So once these forms become live, we need to go to liquidation one for the first. So once after you're done with your done with the submission of your publication of the public announcement, that's when you will come to liquidation one. So in liquidation one, what all information it asks for? So the basic details like name, SIN, date of incorporation, process ID, registered email ID from the MCA, whether it is a going concern, yes or no, right? So whether you're running it as a going concern or not. Then the date of public announcement. So this is like basically this determines your due date for filing, right? So once this determines your due date for filing, this is going to give you an indication as to what is required to be disclosed in the, sorry, what is the timeline within which you need to file the form, right? So that's how this will become important. This date will become important. Okay. Then where there is a delay in your public announcement, you need to give reasons. And with respect to the details of liquidation, again, as I was explaining, it asks whether the COC has decided during the CIRP your fee under Regulation 39D. Now, Regulation 39D of CIRP regulations, in fact, if you see, there are five such regulations: 39A, A, B, C, B, D, C, and D. These regulations stipulate certain mandatory discussions which COC has to make at the time they're considering either approval of resolution plan or deciding for liquidation, right? So, in such a situation, one of it is deciding on the liquidator's fee. Whether has it been done? Yes. Then if it's not, then whether SEC has considered it, yes or no, then what is the fee? Again, there will be drop down as to is it a fixed fee or is it a percentage under the table, etc. Then whether COC has recommended for compromise or arrangement under 39BA. No, this becomes extremely relevant because as per our existing liquidation regulations, unless COC at this stage recommended for the compromise or arrangement, it will become difficult for you to at a later stage explore it without going for sale of assets, right? So whether the COC has recommended for it or not is an important thing which has to be understood. Then whether the COC has recommended for sale of the corporator as a going concern under Regulation 39C. So as I was explaining, 39BA, C, 39D. So all these questions usually in the last meeting where we have either a decision for a decision for COC, or in the last meeting where we have a decision to be made for liquidation or for resolution plan, we need to propose all these agendas for voting of the committee, right? So that is where we have a thing. One second. Yeah. So also all those resolutions we need to provide here, and then status of documents received from RP. Now this is another interesting thing, where you are not the RP, and let's say you were not the RP, and you replaced an RP and were appointed as a liquidator, which is usually the case now. Like in for instance, in one of my cases where I was being proposed to be appointed as a liquidator, the NCLT informed me that I cannot continue, that they have an internal circular based on which they may have to change the liquidator. So I have given my no objection for the same in the hearing. But subsequently, for some reason, NCLT still continued to appoint me because of the very low commercials involved in the case, etc. But it seems to be the case that in all NCLTs, they are considering to change the RP, right? So change the liquidator from the RP. So in such a situation, the documents received, this becomes extremely critical. And I believe that we need to, like in a case where you are not the RP, you were not the RP, and if somebody else was the RP and you are replacing him as a liquidator, it's extremely important for you to jot down each and every document which you would have received from him. And if it's only part information which you have received, then you need to provide a update here that not partially received or only some information received, etc. See, if you see, technically this form filing requirement will give you at least 15 to 20 days time. So the idea is that the person who is an RP, he is supposed to give all maximum information possible within that particular period in time. The reason being, see, RP need not do much, right? So whatever he has to give. If there's some information which is not there, then it is not there. That's all. The fact is, it's not there. So there cannot be any missing information from the RP. So that's the whole idea. So therefore, if we are, in this case, I was the RP and I'm also the liquidator. But if at all I am a liquidator and I'm replacing another RP, I would ensure that I am jotting down each and every document, whatever I have received. Like one, two, three, four, and I put all the documents, and I'll also upload that relevant document which I received from the RP. Now this way I'm safe, right? I can tell that, well, this is what I've received. If there was any information which was missing, it is the RP's fault, not my fault. And if suppose there was a relevant information which I ought to have obtained from the RP and I did not, then that will also become a problem. So therefore, my email communications and also whatever information I received, documents I received from the RP should be carefully documented. Now, I feel this is going to set a good practice for all of us. In listing down all the information which we have received from the RP, I'm sure all of you, majority of us would have already had a practice to do that, to have an internal control of what information we have received from an RP to maintain a checklist. But if not, then this is a high time for us to keep that handy. So that's it. This is the basic preliminary form, as I said, liquidation one. So it has very basic details, all facts, basically. So that's about it. And let's now proceed forward with liquidation two. Right. So I already filed it for 3 quarters. So let me just start off with the first quarter for all the information. Just a second. Just a second. I'll just put my charger. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Let us get back to the forms. So again, liquidation two. So liquidation two, just to recap, it is a for the timeline between your progress report and the between your public announcement and the filing of progress report. So this is a recurring form. Every quarter we need to file. So first and foremost, it asks whether you filed it with IB NCLT within stipulated time, which is 15 days from the end of the quarter. Yes. Then what is the period of progress report? What was the period and when did you submit it with the NCLT? Right. And what is the and also you need to upload the copy of the progress report which you have submitted with the NCLT. So whatever copy we have submitted, it will get uploaded, and we need to provide. Ensure that the complete set of IA filed with the NCLT is being uploaded. Or other way of looking at it is like generally I enclose it an annexure for a progress report. So only that annexure of progress report may also be uploaded. Okay, next is with respect to valuation. Now, this is where the question of valuation comes into picture. Whether have you undertaken a fresh valuation during the liquidation process? Now, this question is quite tricky, right? In my case, what happened? We had appointed valuers during CIRP only, but unfortunately, before even the valuers have come with a valuation report, even within 1 month or so, the COC decided to take this into liquidation. Now, when COC decided to take it into liquidation, I had a that's where I had a concern. Can I continue the same? Can I ask the valuers to change the date of liquidation? Sorry, date of valuation. So I informed immediately on email that boss, I request you to kindly provide me the values of liquidation. Provide me the liquidation value or valuation as per the liquidation regulations rather than the CARP regulations. So in my case, though I have technically it's not a fresh valuation because the same values have done, but fundamentally what I did from them is a fresh valuation. So but I had to take a stand that no, it's not a fresh valuation because already the existing values were there, but I tried to explain it by way of my note. Then what was the valuation during CARP? We never had taken a valuation during CARP, so I had to insert zero. Otherwise we need to provide what's the value. Then whether any asset has been realized. So have we realized any asset? If not, then what specify the reason? Now see, this becomes quite technical, right? So that if we have already sold the assets, then there will not be any questions asked. But if we haven't sold the assets, then we need to provide an information as to why we have not sold the assets. So that is something which is relevant and important for us to take note of. So we need to explain the IBBA that this is the reason why I could not sell the asset during the quarter. Is it because of your failed auction that I tried? I went for public auction twice, thrice, but this was not they were not by no, but no potential interest has come. That might be a reason. Or second, that there is a litigation ongoing on the property, therefore we are unable to sell the asset. So whatever be the reason, we need to specify it clearly with the IBBI in this form liquidation too. Then whether any assets are not being put for sale. Right? Have you not put any assets for sale? Then why did you not put it for sale? Right? See, one thing is you would have put it for sale and it was not getting sold. The other thing is, why did you not put it for sale? So you need to give a reasoning why. So every liquidator will know what reasons we have. We need to put that. Then whether any pending litigations, yes. Then what are all the litigations you need to give from all these basic details we need to fill along with the orders, attachments, etc. Then details of avoidance applications, whether did you file any? If not, whether it was filed by liquidator? No, then okay. If yes, then it will ask details about what is happening with those applications. Now, stakeholders consultation committee meetings. Now, SCC meetings, you need to ask like during the quarter, how many meetings have been held? So and so meetings. Was there any disagreement between them? Like, was there a disagreement between the stakeholders and the liquidators? So SCC has recommended something and you deviated from it, right? Because you disagreed, and then you have to give a justification. So if you disagreed, then you need to give a justification. And where the gap between two meetings is more than 30 days, you need to provide reasons for that. And if the liquidation cost incurred exceeded the initial estimates, then you need to provide, if it is yes, then you need to provide why was that there is an escalation of liquidation cost over the estimated liquidation cost. So preparing the estimated liquidation cost also becomes extremely important here. And then attachment, of course, you need to provide an attachment to the of the minutes of the meeting. So whatever is the minutes of the meeting, we will attach it here. Same thing goes with every quarter. Same questions we need to address for every meeting. Then this is our receipts and payments kind of a thing. Firstly, the inflow details. what is the total cash balance as on the liquidation commencement date? What is the bank balance as on the liquidation commencement date? And if there is any investments or anything. So the idea is these, if you see, all these three are liquid assets. So the idea is to provide the details of the liquid assets, right? So that's what is this thing. So if your liquid assets is in the form of cash or bank balance, easy to provide this bifurcation. If it is in any other form, it need not necessarily be in mutual fund, listed entities, FDR, or insurance. If there is any other mode by which there is a liquid asset, you can reflect that amount here. Then details of receipts. So if there was any contribution from financial institutions for a particular quarter and a cumulative. Now this is where I was explaining. For March quarter, the form wasn't going forward because there was no previous quarter figure. And cumulative, there was a formula to take it directly from the previous quarter. So then what they did, they modified the form only for March quarter, by which when you submit the figure, we were asked to submit the complete figures, not for the quarter ended. So these figures which we have submitted, these are for these are basically the cumulative figures. That's why the current quarter and cumulative are the same, right? Otherwise, that should not be the case, right? You cannot have everything in the same quarter. So therefore, we were asked to put it in a March quarter. We were advised to put both the figures the same. The reason being, before March there is no quarter, whereas cumulative takes the information, obtains the information from the previous form. And if suppose here you insert it wrong, in the next quarter it becomes a pain for us, right? So therefore, one form has to go wrong, right? So this form is something which has been provided, asked for us, that in March quarter you provide cumulative figures in the current quarter, so that the cumulative also will take a same figure, and subsequently in the subsequent quarters you need to provide exact quarter-wise figures for the quarter, and automatically the cumulative figures takes the previous sum from the previous quarter plus current year reporting from the current liquidation form. It will get reflected in the cumulative figures of the current liquidation form. So that's how they have provided a formula to the cell, right? So in this receipts and payments, what are all the details which are sought? What is the contribution you received from your finance institution? What was the realization of assets? Was there any receivables? So by receivables, it doesn't mean what is your receivable. See, this is a receipts and payments statement. So this is all actuals. This is not accruals. So realization from assets. Were there any receivables? Have you received any money by realizing these receivables? That's the question. Next, auction sale. Have you realized any money from the auction by sale of your assets? That is here. Next, arbitration or settlement proceeds. Was there any arbitration which you have won or settlement which has happened in your favor? Then did you receive something from that? In that head, it comes here. From the avoidance applications, have you received any money? That head comes here. From the private sale, have you received any money? That head comes here. Assignment of not readily realizable assets. So if you have any not readily realizable assets, and if you have assigned it to somebody, right, then have you received some consideration from it? Then you have to report it in this head. So the all possible heads have been identified under realization from assets. So whatever assets you realize, you'll have to bucket it under these respective heads. Thereby gives you the total of realization. Then other realizations. So was there any refunds from statutory authorities? There was a tax refund pending. Did you receive it? Was there a revenue from the business of CD as a going concern? No, like no, has there been a revenue which you have reflected from the CD's business as a going concern? Business, okay. Let's say the company had certain commercial units which were rented out. So there is some revenue you're getting out of it. Or let's say the company is actually into some business, and from the business you realize some money, some revenue. Now, all those details have to come there. Okay. And then others. So if any other bucket, if it's not fitting under any of this, then you can even go under this. Right? And total, this is your complete receipt statement. Now the outflow, which is your payments. So inflows and outflows. Now the outflow payments, In the payments, it firstly asks for what are all the unpaid CARP expenses paid during liquidation. So there may be a situation where your CARP expenses still remain unpaid as of the liquidation commencement date. So whether it has been paid during liquidation or not. And then amongst that will be what is the payment towards the interim finance, including interest, RP's fee, professionals who we have engaged, their fee, cost of operating the business as a going concern during the CARP, whatever is the cost, statutory dues, what all statutory dues you have, and others, whatever is the other expenses which you have paid during the liquidation. That is with respect to, see, one bracket is unpaid CRP expenses which you have paid during liquidation. Then the actual liquidation process cost, liquidator fee, have you paid anything? Is there any support services fee you are paying? Marketing expenses, have you incurred any marketing expenses? Litigation expenses, whether there was any fee paid to advocates during this process. Any cost for protecting and preserving the assets, which includes, let's say, you have engaged certain security agency at the site, right? Or you have constructed one fence around the site, your site to protect from any encroachment. All of that will come under this cost. And any other professionals you have paid some fee or any other cost. So this is purely liquidation process cost. So what is the process cost you have incurred? Then third is going concern cost. So because you're running the company as a going concern, you would have certain salaries to be paid or some expenses to be met. So that will come under going concern cost paid. So that is also being taken care of. So total B plus C, that's total liquidation cost is something which comes over here. So CARP cost paid, then liquidation cost, then contributions repayment to COC members. So whether you have received some money from COC and have you repaid it to the COC members or not. Then distribution to claimants under 53(1). So distribution to claimants is whether uh, uh, you received the money. So like in cash inflow, we have shown, let's say, auction sale. Let's say we have received 1 crore from auction sale and distribution to claimants under 53. So in the order of priority under section 53, have you distributed the money which you have realized to these claimants or not? So that is the question to address. So distribution to claimants under section 53 subsection 1 will also become extremely relevant. So this also has to be reported in this payments column. So totally these are all the payments you have done. So after all the your cash inflows minus your cash outflows, what is the total net cash balance lying with you or bank balance lying with you? That is what is the ultimate entry which will be sought after. So basically, you need to reconcile this with your bank statement. So after you showed all this input, cash inflows and cash outflows, whether the balance is tallying with your with your company's books or not, that is something which has to be looked into. Then whether proceeds from realization distributed within 90 days from the receipt of the amount to the stakeholders as under regulation 42, right? So whether once you have once you received made the realization, have you distributed it within 90 days or not? That is something which will be that's something which will be questioned, and we need to address that. So if you have not distributed, what was the reason? There should be some practical reason why you could not do. Maybe your creditor is a foreign entity, so repatriation is taking time, right? Or within the entity, but the bank account details have been wrongly reflected. Anything, any reason why you could not distribute within 90 days, or maybe you never even realized the money. That's why you could not distribute, right? So that's also a reason. So basically, this is something. And then status of the process, whether your liquidation process is continuing as per the stipulated timelines, and if it is not continuing, then provide the reason, then your remarks. And then finally, attachments. You need to attach your preliminary report for the first time when you're filing it, your preliminary report, asset memorandum, and other relevant documents, if any, you need to provide it at the same, right? So whatever you feel are other relevant information which will help in answering or providing this information, that we'll have to fill. So this is all about liquidation 2. I repeat, it is a recurring form. So you need to file it for every quarter. From quarter on quarter, you need to keep on filing this particular form. Now liquidation 3. Now liquidation 3, I'm just showing it for the sake of it. In my case, in the previous session also, we have just wanted to explore. So I have opened this form for the benefit of everyone. So liquidation 3 is a form which has to be filled only after you filed your last progress report. So once you have finished your last progress report, only after that, this liquidation 3 form will trigger. So when I file this liquidation 3 form, what are the details it asks for, right? So it basically covers the information between the last progress report and the application for dissolution or application for closure. Let us see what is all the information which is being sought in this form. First, what is the date of submission of application? Let us say we have, okay, I haven't kept a date. One second. Okay, let's say we have submitted it only today. Okay. Let's say today I submitted the application for dissolution with the NCLT or closure. Closure is when there is a going concern sale. Then whether application for early dissolution filed, in my case, if it is yes, yes, otherwise no, I did not file it early dissolution. Then details of dissolution or closure application. What is the bench? Which before which bench am I doing? What is the case type? So basically this is the application number we need to fill. So for dissolution, there would have been like this. So dissolution, there is a now for every subcategory, they are trying to provide a different case type nomenclature, right? So even at NCLT, there are improvements in terms of how the filings have to be done, and they are also asking certain mandatory information on the e-filing platform. So case type, you will select what is the case number and the year, then the filing number of your e-filing application and the year, right? And then copy of application, whatever application you have filed has to be attached here. Unclaimed proceeds. So even after, so when we go for application for, when we file an application for dissolution, it is assumed that I have distributed everything to everybody. But there will always be a chance, there might be a chance that some of the claimants are not reachable and there is an amount which is unclaimed. Then what do you do? As per regulation 46, there is a corporate liquidation account to which we have to deposit that money. So have you deposited it or not? Let's say yes, then it will ask what is the date of deposit, what are the total number of stakeholders for which this amount has been deposited, what is the total amount, and the reason can be because there is a dispute or because there is a they are untraceable or the death of the claimant, anything, any relevant reason has to come here. Or if suppose there is no such proceeds, then no questions asked. Okay. Then details of assets realized till date. So what are all the assets you have realized? What is the class of assets? Is it under building, plant and machinery, securities and financial assets? The details of assets in brief. If it's the land, then 15 acres of land in so and so village. Mode of sale. Have you adopted auction? Is it a private sale or have you assigned it? Right? Then estimated realizable value. So what was your estimated realizable value as per you? In accordance with the valuation report, then how many failed auctions, reserve price, what was the final reserve price, then successful bid amount, what was the successful bid amount, what was the auction date, and amount received till date. What was the amount you have received till date? So all of it comes under the details of assets realized. Now, whether any asset are not being put up for sale as of the date of the date of progress report. So as of this date, have you not put up any assets for sale? Let's say the answer is no, then it means you need to justify because you are also submitting the final report. How can there be no assets put up for sale, right? So I think this is again a issue with the form because this is not as of the date of the progress report, right? So this is an information sought for the date of filing of application. So technically you would have put all the assets for sale by now. So by default, I believe the answer should be yes, and in which, sorry, answer should be no, that we have not, there is no asset which is being put up for, not put up for sale. But if at all, if it is yes, then yeah, what is the class of assets and reason for not getting sold, right? Because there is an attachment, there are no buyers, whatever, and give the remarks. So this is with respect to this particular information. Then onerous property. So as we are aware, there may be certain property which we may want to disclaim because it is more loss to us than anything. So we want to just simply disclaim it, right? So for which we file an application with the NCLT. So the moment we say yes, it asks, okay, what is that property? What was the date you filed the application? And what did the NCLT decide on that? So that is with respect to onerous property. Then distribution of unsold assets. So there may be certain unsold assets which are which might still be there with the liquidator. So now instead of realizing and selling the assets, the liquidator decided to simply distribute these unsold assets to the relevant stakeholders, and it's for them what they want to do with the assets. Did you do that? Then did you take a permission for distributing such unsold assets from the NCLT or not? So that is Regulation 38. Then, to whom did you make this distribution? Identify the relevant stakeholder in the order of priority under Section 53. Then, what was the class of assets? You may have distributed land also. Some parcel of land you have distributed equally to all of them so that they can enjoy it. Then, value. What is the value of such unsold assets being distributed? Right? Because what we are trying to do is, instead of selling it and realizing the money and distributing the money, we are distributing the direct asset as such. Right? So that is being described under Regulation 38. So all those details are for the purpose of complying with Regulation 38 has to come in your form liquidation 3. Then amount realized during the liquidation process. Now this is a total amount. Like what was the opening balance? Then from the auction, how much did you get? From private sale, from assets not realizable, whatever. From all these brackets, you need to get the amounts clear. Then distribution, what level of distribution? See, this is a complete table under Section 53. This is an order of priority under Section 53. So under each of this head, what are the number of claimants? What is the amount they have claimed? What is the total amount you have claimed which you have admitted? And then what is the amount which you have distributed as per Section 53? So this calculation we have to make as per Section 53, and we need to you know provide the details of distribution of assets under Section 53. Then details of security interest not relinquished. Now, this is again interesting. Section 52 states that you need to, if you don't relinquish within 30 days, it is deemed to have been relinquished. So basically, it asks whether there are any security interest, which is, that is one thing. Second is, the secured creditor will have an option not to relinquish the security interest. In such a situation, the secured, who are all those secured creditors who have not relinquished their security interest? So instead of names, they want to know number of such creditors, what is the amount they have claimed, what is the liquidation value, what was the amount realized, and what is the amount distributed. So this way they would ask for it. And then inflow. So for inflows, if you see, this has been taken directly from my previous form, right? So it will be taken directly. Even in fact, even these realizations will get automatically taken from your liquidation 2 forms, because you report everything in your progress reports in liquidation 2. So it gets automatically reflected, whatever your realizations, etc. And similarly, your outflows from the previous forms, it gets automatically reflected. And then you need to attach. So what are all the attachments which go to liquidation 3? So as I told, liquidation 3 is a one-time form. It is a form filed on or before the 10th day of the subsequent month in which we have filed the application for dissolution or application for closure. So as we know, with all these applications, we will file a final report. So we need to enclose the final report, and what is the date of such final report. Complaint certificate format which we filed to the NCLT, and also the date. And any other direction of adjudicating authority which you have received in the interim, then the date of such adjudicating authority, and any other relevant document which you want to enclose, you can enclose and submit this form. So as you see, again, this is all the 4 forms or anything you submit to IBBA are usually factual. It's just that it's quite exhaustive. So therefore, good amount of time we have to invest and do this. But this is an extremely good exercise for us to have a complete record of our own cases. So any years going forward, if you look back a particular case, you just have to open these forms and you have a complete idea of what happened in these relevant forms. Okay. So that is with respect to this particular form. Now, finally, let's have a quick look at liquidation 4. Okay. So I could not open liquidation 4 because unless I fill the liquidation form 3 and submit it, it will not let me open liquidation 4. But any which ways, we have already seen what liquidation 4 does, right? So it's basically a final step. It will not have much of information. Whatever is already provided in the form, whatever is already provided in your liquidation 3, it gets repeated, and only additional information which we may have to provide in liquidation 4 will be with respect to the date of the order. The order of NCLT, either ordering for dissolution or closure of liquidation. Only the details of the order will go here. Other than that, everything else is already complete, right? So we all know by the time I file my application for dissolution, I already completed all the sales, everything. So the company has come to zero. The balance sheet has been cleaned. So therefore, there is nothing which will survive after this step, right? So therefore, liquidation 4 will be a simpliciter form. All the basic details of distribution of proceeds, payments, etc. will come here. And the only thing which we will file additionally will be the details of the order. That is the order passed by the NCLT, either approving for dissolution or approving for closure of the liquidation process. So these are all the 4 forms. And at the cost of my repetition, just the most important thing for us is to understand this. Who are all responsible for filing these forms? So I repeat this again for interest of everybody. Firstly, for ongoing cases, where you are currently a liquidator, even if your case has begun 4 years back, 3 years back, 2 years back, doesn't matter. You need to file your liquidation 1, 2 promptly with effect from March 2024 quarter. So as I explained, liquidation 1 is a single time form. So you will fill the details. Liquidation 2 is you need to fill it with effect from March 2024 quarter. For the March 2024 quarter, you will have to provide the cumulative receipts and payments figures in your statement. But for the subsequent quarter, that is with effect from June quarter, the quarterly figures which you have reported in liquidation 2 will get automatically populated in your March 2020 in your liquidation 2. So that the cumulative figures will get automatically populated in your liquidation 2. You need to provide your current quarter figures with effect from June quarter so that the cumulative figures are correct, right? So it's extremely important for us to ensure these filings are being done. Earlier, the deadline was 30th September. Later got extended till November. Now it is extended further till December. So December 31st is the last date within which we need to complete these filings. And so other situation is where you already filed your dissolution application, which means you're nearer to the closure of your process, right? Even at that stage, you need to still file liquidation 1, liquidation 2, and liquidation 3 by 30th of September. Now, by liquidation 2, they wanted you to file for the last quarter of the process. So, for last progress report, which you have filed with the NCLT, for that quarter, you need to file liquidation 2. You need not file for March, June, again and again, only for the last quarter. So, if suppose your last quarter was somewhere in 2023 or something, only for that particular quarter, you will have to file this liquidation 2 by giving all the cumulative figures of that particular process. And liquidation 3, anyways, you will have to file afresh. And again, the deadline is 31st December. Suppose you have already got the order passed in your case, and it's been quite some time, or it's recently, doesn't matter. Before this circular, if you have got an order, at any point in time between 2016 or 2016 maybe too ambitious, 2017 to 2024, at any point in time you got a liquidation order, I mean you got a closure order or a dissolution order, then you are mandated to file all these 4 forms: liquidation 1, liquidation 2, liquidation 3, and liquidation 4 before 31st December, right? And for liquidation 2, again, it is for the last quarter of the process. Whatever be the process at which you have ended, that particular process you need to, for that last progress report quarter, you need to file liquidation 2 and liquidation 3 and liquidation 4. So it is extremely important. I mean, till date, they have not given any exception. And as I explained, even in the circular where they have extended the last date for filing of these forms to 31st December 2024, even there they clarified that if during your tenure the order was passed for dissolution or for closure, or during your tenure you filed an application for dissolution, you are responsible to file all the forms relating to the particular case. So this is not an exercise only for the ongoing cases. This is an exercise for all the cases, all the liquidation cases in India. So this is it from my end in terms of the liquidation forms and their scope and the timelines. If any of you have any questions, feel free to please ask. If I'll be able to address, I'll try to address from my limited experience on filing these forms. And if not, we have a good forum for us to discuss this and come to a solution. So I mean, the stage is open for all of you.
Sir, I have one query.
Yes, sir. Nishanji, go ahead, sir.
Sir, in case of ongoing cases,
हाँ,
we have to file liquidation 1 and 2, and
yeah.
liquidation 2 only for the quarter ended March 2024.
With effect from. So from March, June, September, December, like that for 2024, but it starts from March.
And in the March 24 quarter, for
हाँ,
which we are going to file liquidation 2, in
हाँ.
that we have to upload all the progress reports cumulatively, which we
Not,
have filed with the
uh,
administrating authority.
sir, it's an option. If you want, you can, but I don't think that's the intention. You can only upload for March. That is sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
It means for the ongoing cases, we have to file only two forms, liquidation 1 and liquidation 2 only for single quarter ended March 2024 and thereafter June, September, December.
Yes. Yes, sir. So currently, ideally, if we were having ongoing cases, we should have already filed three forms, liquidation two, for March, June, and September. We would have
Okay.
already filed by now. Because your December form, the December quarter due date comes only in February.
February.
Yeah.
And for June and September, due date will also fall 31st
That
December.
was December. Yeah. Currently, they are not charging any additional fee, which means till 31st December, they have kept the portal open. After 31st December, I think the fines will again come back, just like CRP forms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Any further questions or anybody else who is facing challenges in filling the forms? Please feel free to ask any questions because we're all learning. It's all like it's a new thing for all of us. And I know how painful it is to keep on adding so many compliances, but there is a benefit for this mutually, even for us and the IBBI.
Hello, sir. I'm
Yeah.
Shah.
Yes.
One of my IP colleague, he has
Okay.
surrendered his registration due to health issues. He
Okay.
on assignment in past 2018-19.
Hmm.
He is not able to upload the forms because he doesn't have any active email ID on IBBI.
Oh, is it? His portal is also disabled, sir, for him, the login?
Hmm. But
Okay.
he's getting email reminders from IBBI.
No, but sir, one thing is you need to immediately reply, not to leave it as a just to reply saying that is one difficulty would have been that he's unable to log into IBBA, then there's difficulty. But if he's able to log into IBBA, but if he's not a member of IBBA, honestly speaking, IBBA cannot take any action against such IP.
Right,
But
right,
as a matter of good practice, if IP wants to simply comply with it, then he can drop an email giving the difficulty that he is not able to log into the portal and that he has already submitted an AFA due to health issues. So thereby, IBBI can, I think, immune such professional from making this filing, or maybe they will give a the limited login credentials only for the purpose of filling this form. So either of it will happen. So I suggest immediately. I hope you would already written. Otherwise, if you didn't, then you need to
yeah,
immediately write to the IBBI, sir, from your
sure.
registered email ID. Yeah, they will
Yes,
definitely see. Yeah, they'll read your emails. They'll give the solution.
yeah.
So yes, sir.
Yeah. So my next query is that in one of my assignments, I'm
Mhm.
not able to means I have filled means that second number form.
Ah.
The figures of previous quarter are not getting updated in the succeeding quarter.
Which quarter you filed, sir? June or March?
I filled for June.
Okay, okay. And in so March quarter figures are not getting
Yeah,
automatically coming, huh?
yeah. So that figures are mismatching. So I had just written a clarification letter along with the
Ah, best, sir. Yeah.
that still continues in the succeeding quarter. That is
Oh,
September.
yeah, that gets reflected everything in the correct, correct, correct. Sir, if there is a technical issue you feel, then I think it's better not to file subsequent forms till IBBA gives a clarification. The reason being, uh, as you rightly pointed, the one form becomes a mistake, every other form becomes a mistake. But I
Right.
think the ideal solution, as you rightly pointed, will be in an explanation letter. What is the correct figure we need to upload in a PDF and say, boss, this is your technical error, not mine. So I was trying to fill the details, and this is how it got reflected. But so just for my understanding, in March quarter, you filled both cumulative as well as
Yes.
quarter ended figures,
Yes.
same figures, no?
Yes.
Uh, then there is a technical issue because I didn't face it in my forms, but it doesn't mean everybody else. I did experience that the technical issues faced by individual IPs have been different.
Yes. Yes.
And that is very surprising. So in your system, in your server, you may have a different error. The same might not have come for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a difficulty. But yes, I think what you did was absolutely perfect, sir. Filing and closing that situation there is correct by attaching a note. And you also better to put it on email, sir. Send it across to those email IDs of IBBI, explaining them that this was the situation and because of this technical issue, I had to do this.
Correct.
Better to put it on email and inform them. Yeah, Nishanji.
Okay.
Sir, actually, I want to ask that in liquidation one
Hmm.
form, at the end, there was an option that documents received from RP.
Yeah,
And in many of the cases that ideally all the books of accounts and company documents should be in the must be in the possession of the RP. But in
correct.
most of the cases, the company's director or management do not provide these documents to
Yeah,
the RP properly.
true,
And
true.
RP didn't hand over those documents to the liquidators.
Yeah.
And what we have to report in this case?
Sir, so whatever information we received, firstly, we need to add. And as you rightly pointed, this is a case in every situation. You may not get all the records, right? But
Yes,
what is important is all that information which is available with the RP, has it been handed over or not? So that will become an important aspect. Now, for example, audited financial statements. Let's say it is not in possession of RP, as you rightly pointed, and the directors have not yet provided, for which RP would have filed a avoidance application for under Section 19. Now, did you receive the Section 19 IA? Yes. Are you going to proceed? Yes. So therefore, you will upload it, and these kind of observations which you have, you can make a compilation of these observations. Audited financial statements updated only provided till 2018. Subsequently, for the year 2019 till 2024, the RP had given an explanation that the director has failed to provide this information. Therefore, they has filed a Section 19 application. So you can make a statement, a compiled statement in an Excel for or in a tabular format for each requirement which you feel is supposedly to have been handed over to you but has not been handed over. You will identify, list it down, and give your remarks on it. And you also attach it along with these documents. Now, the fact is, IBBA may not actually look into all of it, but in a given time, when we are under inspection, all this information will help us. It will help us tell the IBBA that, boss, I did provide it to you. I did upload it to you. That this information has not come to me. So one thing is right, sir. All documents have been received from RP is a very difficult declaration to make because we don't know if there is any missing information. But
yes, yes.
yeah, it is up to us. It's purely discretionary how we can take a stand. But once we take a stand, we need to justify that stand by a clear writing instructions to the IBBA so that at any point in time, if the document is open, there's a clarity as to why you took a stand that you did not receive complete information from the RP. So that's how it will help. Yeah.
Is it also necessary to upload all the documents which we have received from the RP?
Sir, ideally, that might not have been the intention. They wanted to have a basic idea of what documents have been received. But as a matter of caution, I think it's better to upload all the documents, sir. I know in small cases there might not be much information, but in medium and large scale cases, there will be too much of information which we would have received from the RP. So to the extent the portal allows us, we should actually upload whatever is information. Or if we feel, I mean, there's also one more option, but I don't know how far IBBA will be okay with it. We can upload a link. There can be a link which we can create, and a single document we can say this is the link in which all documents are uploaded, and that link convert to PDF and upload that the single document alone, which can have a URL. Once we click on the link, IBBA or anybody, it should open a Google Drive with all the information which you have received from the RP. That can also be a good exercise. But I feel uploading the document should be better, sir, even for us and even for IBBA to know what all information has come. Or maybe at least the material information like IM, RFRP, not RFRP, maybe information memorandum which we have got from them. Sale deed, suppose we have received some information on the documentation with respect to the company, then those documents, mortgage deeds, etc. So whatever possible, I think it's better to upload with the IBA because that's where they ask for each document description and the document attachment. At times we may not attach the document because of the size or because of the issue, then at least list out the document, no, name the document. At least listing out is important. These are the documents which I received. I could not attach everything, but these are the documents I received. That is also fine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Any further questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nishant. Anyone else? Okay. So Anjali, I think we can conclude it. We have captured all the description on each of the form, and what are the questions are there also we have taken. From ICSI, anybody? Okay. So I think we can conclude it here. Probably in the second half, you will have discussion on voluntary liquidation forms. I will be leaving my email ID just in case anybody wants to connect, email ID and also my contact number. Just in case anybody has any details, or I mean anybody wants to connect with me with respect to these liquidation forms, feel free to do so, sir. We can discuss over phone as well. So yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thanks everyone. Thanks so much, ma'am. Everybody who has attended this session and taken your time for this session. Thank you so much. We can call it a day. Thank you.